Hey guys, welcome to today's video. This video was actually supposed to be another one because I actually have a new modification again for the M140i. I wanted to say 114i, but that is not accurate anymore. But yeah, the M140i has a new mod, and I actually shot everything for the modification. But I kind of forgot that this phone has a bad mic, so I don't know what's happening, but sometimes this microphone works pretty flawless, perfect, and then sometimes it cuts out. So I'm actually in need for a new phone, but I thought it was solved with the software update, and then it came back. So the audio is complete garbage. So I will kind of redo that video a little bit, try to do some voiceover work on old clips, but yeah, it's not going to be the video as I intended. So now, because it's actually been a while since I uploaded again, I wanted to talk about the ownership of the M140i after a year, more as in like what went wrong. So I actually own the M140i for a little bit over a year right now. Since 1 October 2021, and this is filmed at the 16th October of 2022. And I want to talk about all the things that went bad on my M140i since I got it. And actually, I can tell you already that that list is pretty short, and there's also a difference between things that are just fault of the car that I can do nothing about, and then things that actually I messed up, so it's not really the car's fault, but I'm going to tell them anyway, so you maybe don't redo that mistake, and then you guys just know that what's wrong with the car and what happened. So first of all, I'm going to do a little explanation on my M140i. So currently the car, it's a 2017 model with rear-wheel drive and a ZF8 gearbox, and it's I want to say something else again. It's rear-wheel drive, so no transfer case. 2017 model with 80,000 kilometers. So that's something I also wanted to say. So 5 years old, 80,000 kilometers. So not really an old car with a lot of kilometers on the clock, but it has been driven. It's not like a 1-year-old car with 10,000 kilometers, because that wouldn't be that representative to real day usage, whatever. Real world, that's more common sense. Anyway, so the list with things that went wrong that are not my mistake is luckily very short. So actually, let's start with the most recent thing that's happened to the car, and that is actually I found out when I went to the hand car wash, so with high pressure. I washed my car and I noticed that a little bit of water got inside. So my passenger door is leaking. Apparently, it's a more common problem on the F series of BMWs. So yeah, I'm not really bothered by that much, because my car sits in a closed garage at night and I don't drive it that much, and especially not in the rain. So I'm gonna get it fixed though, but it's just something that showed up very recently. If I would make this video a month ago, it wouldn't be in the list. So a small door leak, it appears to happen on more 1 series, 2 series, 3 series. So yeah, not a big problem, but something that we need to get fixed. Then another thing that happened is, like, after a few months of ownership, I actually just got a new steering wheel installed. And I was holding my steering wheel and I was doing this, and I hear the knocking sound. It was doing it when everything was off. I know you were not supposed to do that, but I did it by accident, and I noticed the sound, which was a little bit off. And apparently, BMW also has like a revised part. I don't know the part number. I'm not bothered by searching. It's like a steering rack thing, and apparently, that's a part that you could get. And the dealer gave it to me because I said I had a problem, and I had to do an oil change shortly after. So we just installed it during that oil service, and it has been fine since then. It's a small part. I got it for free under warranty, and I think if you have to buy it yourself, it's like 30-40 euro. Then another thing is I noticed that, and apparently that's a B58 problem. Shut up. Its B58 problem is a little bit of coolant loss. So I noticed that my car had a little bit of coolant loss. So I just got a new top because I noticed that there was a little bit of a white, substance on the top, the cooling top, and they told me that it's actually leaking. So I just got a new one. It was like 16 euro, very easy to install. You undo the old one, you screw on the new one, basically that's it. And I haven't had any coolant loss since then. And then the last thing that actually happened was very stupidly, and it solved itself, so it doesn't really count, I don't know. But I was just driving, and with friends I went to a car show, and we stopped to refuel because we were with two M140i's and a 135i, so of course we had to refuel because that's always the case in those cars. And I refueled, I parked myself because we were grabbing something to eat real quickly. I went back in the car, and suddenly I had an auto leveling headlight failure. So there was a failure in my headlight, and I was like, oh no, that's not good. But really, I just turned the car off again. I turned it on again, and it was gone, and it never came back. And that is like 7-8 months ago, and it never showed up again. So I think it was a little, software fault, a software or a sensor getting a little bit iffy, and that was basically it. So would I really call that a big issue? No. I mean, come on, really. So basically, those are the only things that really happened to the car, which were the car's fault. A coolant, dot that's leaking, 16 euro to replace. Something in the steering rack, also very easy to replace. It was like 30 euro. A sensor that acted weird one time, just turned the car on and off. It was gone. And then a little door leak that we still have to fix yet. So maybe that will be the more expensive thing. And that's basically everything that went wrong with the car. That's not my fault. Some other things went wrong, but that's basically my error mistake, things that I did wrong. And oh, my dog is chewing on a cat toy. Give me a second, please. Yeah, so for some reason my dog always wants to chew on the cat toys and not the toys that we bought for him. Bad boy. Anyway, so yeah, the problems that were error mistake and not really the car's fault. And why is my camera going weird again? So, come on, stand nice, whatever, I'll hold it. So, things that happened, well, actually, when I had my airbag of my steering wheel off and on again, even if I, disconnected the battery, what happened is that my ESP, warning light was a little bit iffy at the first startup after I've done that. So it happened like 2-3 times, and I got my airbag out of the steering wheel. I reconnected it again because I did something, and then I got ESP flickering, acting weird, traction control wouldn't work, cruise control wouldn't work, very weird. I turned the car off again, on again, and it was gone, and it never came back until I actually disconnected the steering wheel again, and then it happened again. Why did I do it? Well, the LED module in my steering wheel, because I have those LED flickering lights, that was broken after a few months. It was replaced under warranty, and when I left, I had the ESP problem again. I just turned the car off, turned it on again, and it was gone. So if, like most people, I would just let the airbag sit in the steering wheel like most people do, except when you're a scumbag thief. Then that problem wouldn't really happen. Also, another thing that happened is when I got my Bilstein coilovers installed, is one of the wires, the data wires, wasn't actually tugged away properly, and it rubbed against the wheel. And very shortly after installation, it got damaged and it lost connection. So I suddenly had a warning light of my suspension, not being funny. So yeah, but that was installation fault. So really not the problem of the car, the fault of the car. So yeah, that's that. And then one thing that some of you probably didn't know. So, and I didn't know it either. I just, found out by accident. It's another ESP problem. So what happens is I bought the car on 4 Michelin Pilot Super Sports. Great tires when it's warm and dry. They're very shitty when it's cold and wet. Then you're just driving on ice. I'm gonna try to put my phone back again because my hands were, you know, started to feel bad. Anyway, so what did I do? Well, of course, me being the car being rear-wheel drive, and me being not so easy on the throttle, I can't speak anymore. My rear tires were, gone. So I had to get new tires, but because the winter was coming, like it was the exact same period right now. I think it was November last year. I decided to go with a Michelin Pilot Sport 4 instead of a Super Sport. And that was a great choice because the car hooked up way better. Except apparently you shouldn't really mix front hard and soft sidewall tires with each other on an M140i. So what happened was I still had the Super Sports in front. They have a more stiff sidewall, and I still only had my PS4s in the rear, and they have a more soft sidewall. Come on, just keep standing. So what happened is when in the corner, the ESP would think I'm losing traction because the one side will have more flex as the other one. But now I'm actually running the other way, so Pilot Sport 5 in the front and Super Sports in the rear, and that isn't a problem. But when you run the harder sidewall in the front and the soft sidewall in the rear, it actually kinda doesn't run that great. Also, the car feels very jumpy when you do it like that, because the rear was really like squatting. It was like when I'm driving, it was like doing this, and it drove very badly. I actually got a V-brake installed to fight it, and it worked a little bit, but it was mostly because of the tires. So afterwards, I just replaced my fronts with Pilot Sport 4s, and the problem was gone. Traction control issue was completely gone, and the car cornered great again. It drove great again. Everything was solved with just, don't mix tires on BMWs, because the traction control system is very, very tricky. It can be upset pretty quickly, apparently. So yeah. So don't put hard sidewalls in front and soft sidewalls in the rear. Just the more you know. And I think that is basically anything that went wrong with the car. So yeah, just little stupid stuff. Most of them was my mistake, and other ones were very cheaply and very easy to solve. So really, the B58 by now has been super reliable, especially when I have a different turbo, different pressure fuel pump, running a custom tune with some decent pops, and the car has been flawlessly. So yeah, no other problems, except it eats tires, but why do you think it does it? But yeah, the car has been, like I said, it has been very, very good, very reliable, no issues so far. And yeah, with the 114, I had way more problems, and except first year, the first year was pretty problem free, but the car was only at 23,000 kilometers when I bought it. This one was already at 63,000 kilometers, and now my M140i is actually at almost the same kilometers as the 114i was when I sold it. And back then I already went through a lot of problems with the 114i, but the M140i has been pretty flawless. Just some little minor things that are really not that interesting. And I'm keeping up with maintenance, so I'm not counting maintenance as those costs, because I replaced my spark plugs, my ignition coils. I'm going to do transmission service soon, probably with the next oil service. I'm also going to change my injectors, probably just to be safe, because I've heard failing injectors stories a bit too much the last few years on the higher mileages B58, so that's something to keep in mind. And yeah, basically the car has been pretty bulletproof. And most cars, when you start adding turbos, they start to show things, but now this one, perfect. It's a very mild turbo, so no, it's like running a stage 2 plus car with E15 ethanol. So yeah, nothing too fancy, but the car has been great. So yeah, basically that's all that went wrong on my M140i. So not a big thing. great car, pretty reliable so far. And anyway, I think that's it for today's video. I have been chatting enough. I'll see you guys very soon. Goodbye.